Who's winning the new scramble for Africa? Well, China is in pole position, but this race has a dark horse, a country you wouldn't expect to do well. And that's Turkiye. Let's look at some numbers first. Turkish firms have completed more than 1,800 projects in Africa, 1,800. Total cost, around $85 billion. They also employ a lot of people. Reports say around 100,000 Africans. Trade is also booming. In 2003, bilateral trade was just $5.4 billion. In 2022, it reached $41 billion, and chances are it hit $50 billion last year. This growth is not random. It's part of Turkey's long-term strategy. They have actively focused in Africa. Again, let's look at more numbers. In 2002, Turkey had just 12 embassies in Africa. 2 decades later, they have 44. So what's the game plan here? What does Ankara want from Africa? What everyone wants: political support and business. In the last century, Turkey was not as interested in Africa. Their focus was on the West, on joining the European community. But in 1997, they got a reality check. Ankara was denied full membership of the European Union, so time was ticking. Turkey needed to diversify its foreign policy. In 1998, a new plan was unveiled: the Action Plan for Africa. It was later taken forward by Recep Tayyip Erdogan, first as Prime Minister, then as President of his country. He's taken personal interest in this relationship with Africa. Guess how many times he's visited Africa? 40 times in 20 years, more than any other world leader. In 2005, Turkey declared the Year of Africa. Think of it as a grand PR exercise. That year, Erdogan visited Ethiopia and South Africa. He announced multiple projects. Others were late to the party. China declared the Year of Africa 1 year later. France did so 5 years later. So Turkey really set the trend. And what did they get in return? Political support. Turkey got observer status at the African Union. It was also declared a strategic partner in 2008, but the big victory came at the United Nations. Turkey was eyeing a temporary seat at the Security Council, and in 2010, they got it. How? Because African nations supported them. It's been a hybrid strategy. You can see Turkish cultural centers, hospitals and schools in Africa. You can also see Turkish military bases in Libya and Somalia. Erdogan has struck security agreements with 30 African nations. Each agreement is different. Some allow Turkey to train African soldiers, others permit Turkish deployments. Either way, it's a win for Ankara. And looks like that will be Erdogan's pitch, that of a defense equipment provider. Of course, drones are on top of this list. Turkey has sold its Bayraktar TB2 drones to 10 African nations, like Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali. All three are battling terror groups. Turkish drones could give them an edge. Some African countries have already used the TB2, like Ethiopia and Togo. So going forward, drone diplomacy could be Erdogan's focus. Also, Islamic diplomacy. Some 27% of Africa's population is Muslim, and Erdogan loves to flaunt his religious credentials. The biggest example of that is Ghana. A massive blue mosque was inaugurated back in 2021. It was fully funded by Turkey. So it's clear why Erdogan wants Africa, a big market for his drones, support at the United Nations, also fertile ground to further his Islamist agenda. But what's in it for Africa? Well, too many options is never a bad thing. Plus, Ankara comes with less baggage. Turkey was not a colonial power in most of Africa. It also doesn't care about democracy. The US or Europe may not sell weapons to a military regime, but Erdogan will do so happily. No criticism, no judgments. What's impressive, though, is his secrecy. Everyone knows what China is doing in Africa. They also know about Russian and American designs, but Turkey has sort of slipped under the radar. Maybe that's how Erdogan wants it. After all, you cannot combat what you don't know.